Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For this video, we would like to present our final group assignment project IMS506 database design for Susano Apparel website. First of all, my name is ADYPUTRA IMAN dan ROSLAN, and I will introduce my group members, which is MISBAHULFALAH bin HARUN, Wan AMIRUL ANWAR bin Wan SABRI, and MOHAMAD SHAHDAN HASHRAF bin ISMAIL. So, let's start with our presentation.
Hello, my name is Mohamad SHAHDAN HASHRAF bin ISMAIL from IM2453B. To start our presentation, I will share the introduction of our projects. The purpose of our projects is to create a database application that will assist the Susano Apparel agency. These projects will also develop a database that provides all the information and data for future users about Susano Apparel. A Susano Apparel database system has been issued, which is a database making it possible for the Susano Apparel store to preserve data on suppliers, products, payments, and customers. Susano Apparel database system functions include keeping database for their store sales, customer information, and payment, supplier information, and also products that are available in store. Providing this firm with a strong database system can assist them in problem solving with consumer information. Not only that, but they may include a large amount of data into the system to eliminate data redundancy, while also managing all of that data in a methodical manner in comparison to the current situation. Nowadays, customers just use website and phone conversation to obtain all their purchase information, which can lead to inaccurate information. By providing the database application, we can preserve the data on customers, products, and suppliers. This database application can help Susano achieve the objective and mission that have been set successfully. Susano shirts may now be ordered more easily thanks to a database application. All the data about customers, suppliers, and products can be kept properly in the database. This database program can also be of assistance, as it can be used to calculate data, volume, and aid a range of activities. As a result, the database system can provide a variety of values to the Susano Apparel agency in order to conduct their business smoothly, but there are also some limits to utilizing a database, such as damage, cost, and many other constraints. That's why we must know how to operate the system to take care of the database and assist the agency in managing their business efficiently and providing clients with pleasure. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is MISBAHULFALAH bin Harun, and now I will explain about the table and attribute definition of our database design. Now I will explain about our first table, which is customer table. For customer table, we have 4 attributes, which is customer code, customer name, customer contact, and customer email. For customer table, we have 20 sample record, as you can see here. Number 1 until 20. Now I will go to the second table, which is payment table. For payment table, we have 3 attributes, which is payment ID, payment method, and purchasing code. For payment table, we have 20 sample record, and the primary key is payment ID, and the foreign key is purchasing code. Now I will explain about the third table in our database design, which is the product table. For product table, we have 4 attributes, which is product code, product price, product name, and supplier code. For primary key in product table is product code, and the foreign key is supplier code. For product table, we have 21 sample record as you can see here, starting from 111 product code until 140 product code. Now I will continue with the fourth table in our database design, which is purchase. For purchase table, we have two attributes, which is purchase code and customer code. The primary key for our table is purchase table is purchase code, and the foreign key for purchase table is customer code. For purchase table, we have 20 sample record as you can see here. Now I will explain about the fifth table in our database design, which is purchasing list. For purchasing list, we have three attributes, which is purchasing code, product code, and purchase code. The primary key for the purchasing list table is purchasing code, and the foreign key for the purchasing list table is product code and purchase code. For purchasing list table, we have 20 sample record as you can see here. Now I will continue with the lastly table in our database design, which is supplier. For supplier, we have two attributes, which is supplier code and supplier name. For supplier code, we have two sample record, and supplier name two sample record. The primary key for the supplier table is the supplier code. And now I will show you how to key in the data in our database design. As you can see here, the insert, you can click the insert. For customer code, you can key in the code, for example 888, and the customer name, you can key in the customer name. For example, my name, I write my name, which is Falah. For the customer contact, I will write my contact number, which is 0120687756. And for customer email, I will key in my email, which is falah@gmail.com. And then you have to click go. Then the PHP MACHANG will show your SQL query. This is he show that you insert into customer code, customer name, customer contact, and customer email with value 888 Falah and contact number and Gmail. And now you will go to the structure, go to the browser, and then you can see the data that I have keyed in before, which is you can see here customer code 888, customer name Falah, customer contact, and customer Gmail. That's all for the table and attribute definition. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is ADYPUTRA IMAN, and I will explain about relationship diagram. As you can see, the Susano database have a 6 diagram table, which is payment table, purchase list table, purchase table, customer table, product table, and supplier table. Okay, for table number 1 is payment table. Payment table has a 3 sample record, which is payment ID, payment method, and purchasing code. For the primary key of this table is payment ID, and the foreign key of this table is purchasing code. Payment table have a relationship with the purchasing list, which is purchase code. Okay, for the purchasing list, they have 3 sample record, which is purchasing code, product code, purchase code. The primary key of this table is purchasing code, the foreign key is product code and purchase code. For table number 3 is purchase table. Purchase table have 2 sample record, which is the primary key is purchase code and the foreign key is customer code. This table have relationship with the purchase list. As you can see, the foreign key is customer code. For table number 4 is customer table. customer table has a 4 sample record, which is customer code, customer name, customer contact, and customer email. Okay, the primary key of this table is customer code. This table have a relationship with the purchase table, which is customer code. Okay, for the next table is product table. Product table have 4 sample record, which is product code, product price, product name, and supplier code. The primary key of this table is product code, and the foreign key is supplier code. This table have the relationship with purchasing list, which is product code. Okay, the final table is supplier. Supplier has the 2 sample record, which is supplier code and supplier name. In this table, the primary key of this table is supplier code. This supplier table have relationship with the product table, which is supplier code. So this is the relationship diagram of Susano database. Thank you.
Thank you, ADYPUTRA. And now I will continue with my part, which is MySQL query generating data from multiple table and producing the output. Now I will go to the first slide. At the first slide, you can see 2 query. This is the customer query for our database design. As you can see here at the first query, it shows that I input the data into the attribute in the customer table, as you can see here. And the second query, I input the new data into the attribute in the customer table. As you can see here, the customer example of the attribute, example of the sample record that I put in the customer table, which is here Sid, which is customer code, Zamir is customer name, this is a customer contact number, and this is customer email. From these 2 query, I will show you the output. Okay, now this is the output for the 2 query I have shown before, which is I input the sample data into the attribute in the customer table, which is you can see here customer code, this is sample record, customer name, this is sample record, customer code, customer contact, and customer email, this is sample record that I have put. Now I will go to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th query for our database design, which is the product query. As you can see here, this is the 3rd query. I input the data into the product table, which is you can see here. And the second query is you can see that I input the new data into the product table. And the 3rd query is I input the foreign key into the product table, which is you can see here I input the supplier code into the product table. For the output with these 3 queries, this is the output for the 3 query I showed before, which is here you can see I input the sample data into the product code, sample data into the product price, and sample data into the product name. And I also input the foreign key into the product table. As you can see here, if we click at the supplier code, it will automatically go to the supplier table, which is now we can see that the foreign key is function properly. Now I will continue with the 3rd slide, which is supplier query. In this supplier query, you can see I input the data into the supplier table, as you can see here. This is the output for the supplier query that I showed before. You can see here I input the sample record into the supplier code, I input the sample record into the supplier name. Now I will continue the next slide, which is the query number 7, query number 8, and query number 9. This 3 query is under the purchase query. As you can see at the first query here, I input data into the purchase code, which is in the purchase table. And the second query, you can see here I input the new data into the purchase table here. And at third query here, you can see that I input the new attribute in the purchase table. Now I will show you the output for the purchase query here. This is the output for the purchase table that I showed, the purchase query that I showed before. This is I input the sample data into the purchase code, and I input the data to the to the purchase code, to the customer code. As you can see here, I also input the foreign key into the purchase table, which is customer code. If we click at the customer code, it will automatically go to the customer table, as you can see here. Now I will go to the next slide, which is purchasing list query. For purchasing list query, we can see the query number 10, number 11, and number 12. In this slide, I will show you the purchasing list query. The first query in this slide is I input the foreign key into the purchasing list table, which is I input the product code and purchase code. Here you can see here. And the second query here is I input the data into the purchasing list table. As you can see here, I input the data. And the third query in the purchasing list query is, you can see here, I input the new data into the purchasing list table. Now I will show you the output for these three query. This is the output for the query that I showed before in the purchasing list table. As you can see, I input the sample record into the purchasing code. I input the sample record into the product code. I input the sample record into the purchase code. And I also input the foreign key into the purchasing list table, which is the product code and purchasing code. If you click the product code here, it will automatically go to the product, as you can see here. And the second foreign key is purchase code. If we click here, it will automatically go to the purchase table, as you can see here. Now I will explain about the next slide, which is the payment query. As you can see here, the query number 13, number 14, and number 15. Now I will go one by one. The first query in the payment query is show that I have input the foreign key into the payment table, which is the purchasing code. As you can see here, I input the foreign key. And at the second query for the payment query is I input the data into the payment table. I input the sample record into the payment table, as you can see here. And the third query in the payment query is I input the new data into the payment table, as you can see here. Now I will show you the output for these three query. This is the output for the query that I showed before in the payment table. And as you can see here, I input the sample record in the payment ID. I input the sample record in the payment method. I input the sample record into the purchasing code. As you can see before, I also input the foreign key into the payment table, which is the purchasing code. If we click at the purchasing code here, it will automatically go to the purchasing list table. That's all for the MySQL. Now I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is ANWAR B1 SABRI, and I will present about database design, user acceptance test, which is UAT. This is the table of contents. First is document purpose. Second is project overview. Third is UAT objectives. Fourth is UAT phases. Fifth is UAT tester. Number 1. Document purpose. The purpose of this document is to outline the user acceptance testing UAT process for the Susano Apparel database system. Project sponsor from all participating departments are intended to review this document. Approval of this document implies that reviewers are confident that following the execution of the test plan, the resulting system will be considered fully tested and eligible for implementation. UAT is to be completed by the business departments that will be utilizing the software and or support departments. The testing is conducted to enable a user to validate the software meets the agreed upon acceptance criteria. Number 2, project overview. By providing the database application, we can preserve the data on customers, product and suppliers. This database application can help Susano achieve the objectives and mission that have been set successfully. Susano shirts may now be ordered more easily thanks to a database application. All the data about customers, suppliers and products can be kept properly in the database. This database program can also be an assist as it can be used to calculate data volume and aid a range of activities. Number 3, UAT objectives. User acceptance testing is conducted to ensure that the system satisfies the needs of the business as specified in the functional requirements and provide confidence in its use. Modification to the aforementioned requirement will be captured and tested to the highest level of quality allowed within the project timeline. To develop a system that can trace data in a faster and more organized manner to avoid redundant data. After that, to help store data about products, supplier, customers and payment of Susano Apparel. Lastly, to modify the Susano Apparel database design should be worked upon with the convention and standards so that it can be easily modified whenever the need arises. For example, if there are any flaws in our database design, we can easily modify it so that we can repair our database design flaws. Number 4, UAT phases. There are 2 phases, which is test cases and traceability, and second is test closure task. The first one is test cases contain a detailed step-by-step breakdown of each test case to be performed by the UA tester. Each script contains test case number, product, test description, requirement number, requester, tester, action to be performed, test data to be utilized, expected result, error description, data tested, and any additional comment from the UA tester. For the test closure task, test closure activities collect data from completed test activities to consolidate experience, testware and metrics. Alright, and number 5 is UAT tester. This is the tester, and this is the detail of the tester. Alright, that's all for me. Goodbye.